We are so glad you joined us for this very special episode of Window Seat as we travel to New Orleans, Louisiana to honor the heroes of World War II. We are going inside the museum dedicated to the war fought by the greatest generation, fought by our parents and grandparents, many of whom are no longer with us. But wait until you see the brand new technology they've just unveiled here. Assisted by AI, you can now have a conversation with a World War II veteran long after they're gone.
Hold it down.
Ask them a question, they'll answer.
How old were you when you got the test for fly?
However you get into flying training, you have to pass certain exams.
It's just some of the cool tech under this roof that helps tell the story of the war that encompassed the globe and united countries all over the world. All of it happening right here at the National World War II Museum. We're taking you inside in this episode of Window Seat. From the minute you enter the expansive National World War II Museum complex in downtown New Orleans, not far from the Superdome, you are wowed. Suspended in midair, some of the very airplanes used to win the war.
Our P-51 Mustang here is also important, just as important as the B-17.
We were given a guided tour by expert John Curatola, a veteran himself who knows pretty much everything there is to know about the war.
Also, the civilian toll that occurs. Many people are displaced from their homes, refugees, people looking for their families. Many of them won't find those families.
The people who fought it.
This is representative of the artillery that was largely used in the theater.
And where some of the biggest battles went down.
We still have basically another year's worth of fighting almost, and the casualty rates are going to continue to climb.
The museum is broken down by theaters. There's the European theater.
The American 9th Army pushed down from the northern shoulder, and the German attack basically peters out once they get west.
The Pacific Theater.
And of course, there's a price to pay. Like I said, 400,000 Americans die.
And special parts of the building dedicated to D-Day and the Holocaust.
And this is, again, this is kind of the capstone, because what their mission is, you know, why the war was fought, how it was won, and what are the legacies of the war. And this certainly speaks to that.
It is powerful and gripping and unforgettable. And if you care one bit about history, you really got to come see this place.
My last station, though, was Midway Island.
If you're lucky, you'll come on a day when actual living World War II veterans are on hand.
How are you going to have bad morale?
They love having these history makers here to share their war stories. And on this day, they found a very captive audience in this group of JROTC students from a nearby Louisiana town.
Just the courage that they had to go do it, go finish it, go get it done and everything.
It's personally interesting to me because I'd say they had to go through a hard time in life and fight through a lot. And right now, I feel like we got it easier than they definitely did.
But as much as they love having the real thing on hand here, the National World War II Museum is preparing for the day when there are no living World War II veterans. And that day is coming soon. 16 million Americans served their country during World War II, but today, 80 years later, there are only about 100,000 World War II veterans still alive. Their numbers are dwindling fast, but inside this museum, they are desperately working to preserve those stories so that they live much longer than the veterans do. Here's how.
Hold it down.
They've employed state-of-the-art artificial intelligence technology to help keep these stories alive. In a new exhibit called Voices from the Front, they picked 18 remarkable World War II veterans, flew them to Hollywood, where over the course of several days they were filmed, answering thousands of questions about their service.
How old were you when you got the test for fly?
However you get into flying training, you have to pass certain exams.
With the help of AI, now when a museum visitor comes to the exhibit and asks a question, it will be matched with the closest recorded answer, and they can have a virtual conversation with a veteran.
Is that strange to see yourself like that?
It is strange. What amazes me about it is the figure moves. There's movement, eyes blinking, hands moving, and things like that.
It's remarkable and unforgettable.
We were thrown into the fray to keep Hitler from coming across the channel and invading the British Isles.
John Lucky Luckadoo, a pilot who was part of the Bloody 100th and who helped consult on the recent Apple TV series Masters of the Air, is one of the veterans who took part.
I managed to survive a tour which at that time was 25 missions. But your chances at that period of coming through 25 is 1 in 4. Well, it's pretty awesome to realize that I was actually an accidental part of history.
It's just one way they preserve stories about these historic heroes. They also film veterans in a separate studio, asking them questions about when and where they served.
Could you tell me about your mother? Did she work or?
Well, she was a housekeeper.
So far, they've captured the biographies of thousands of World War II heroes, and they're working nonstop to capture even more before time runs out. We were also lucky enough to get a behind-the-scenes tour of the archives, where they've cataloged tens of thousands of artifacts from the war, from both sides.
This side is all German material.
Cabinet after cabinet filled with the old military uniforms, drawers overflowing with service weapons and keepsakes from the battlefield.
Only about 7 to 5% of the material is on display at any one time. The rest of it is stored up here in vaults.
Not to mention the thousands of documents donated by veterans, each one helping tell the story of the war in the words of the men and women who served.
Someone is always sending their material in every day, and it's my job to take that material, decide what it is, decide how we'd like to keep it, and get it ready for storage for future exhibits or research.
And speaking of women, the museum also has a brand new exhibit dedicated to them called Our War II, Women in Service. It pays homage to the 350,000 women who enlisted during World War II.
The military was not seen as a traditional avenue for women. Yeah, women had lots of skills.
Serving in groups like the WWII, that's Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service, a branch of the Navy.
The lack of information and knowledge about women in the military in World War II was exactly the reason for doing this exhibition. Many think of women's roles during World War II as, one in production, but women who served in uniform during World War II are sort of a lesser known story. And World War II was the first time that American women served in large numbers in the military.
Every woman, man, boy, and girl is going to enjoy a visit here. And if you haven't yet finalized your summer plans, this definitely should be a destination to see all of the high-tech work underway to preserve this history. It is tireless work unfolding inside this magnificent museum in New Orleans, Louisiana, the National World War II Museum. If you haven't been here yet, you got to make a trip to the Big Easy and check it out, because no place captures the story of our heroes from World War II like this place does. That's it for this episode of Window Seat. I'm Jeremy Hubbard in New Orleans. Hope you like and share the story so that we can spread it with others. And also, we'd really like it if you would subscribe to this channel so you can see more content just like this. We're back with a brand new episode of Window Seat next Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy one of these other episodes from Window Seat.